Today on Ministry Monday, I am speaking to Jennifer Kluge, Executive Director of NPM. Hi, Jennifer. How are you today?
Hi, Amanda. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Thank you for chatting with us on Ministry Monday today.
Always happy to be with you here.
So, Jennifer, let's lay it all out now on the table for our listeners. We are recording this after the last On the Road event.
Mhm.
The office closed a week after the last event. So we're looking here. We have a little bit of space in between all five events that took place this summer. And, as we in the national office started to debrief, I proposed to you, I think it would be great if you and I sat down and chatted about some details for the podcast. And thankfully you obliged. So thank you very much. So I kind of want to take our time today and explore the event as if everyone who's listening did not attend for the most part, just to give them kind of a flavor. Let's look broad strokes first. So NPM on the Road. It took place in Chicago, San Antonio, Oakland, California, Portland, Oregon, and then Philadelphia.
Yes.
So what was the total amount of people that attended all of those like five events combined?
We had just over 600 people attend the five events. And as some of our listeners may recall, originally we had hoped to be in Atlanta as well. And unfortunately, Atlanta didn't proceed. But a long time ago, when we started first talking about these events, my goal was to have 100 in each city. And we knew that would give a good feeling in the room. And so I'm delighted that across five cities, on average, we had well over 100 people.
Yeah. The other main reason that we pivoted to this regional model for this year
Mhm.
was to try and attract people as potential members to NPM. So let's take that 600 number, let's break it down a little bit more. How many of those were non-members?
I love that you asked this question because as I was in each place, I would ask the question, for how many of you is this your first event, NPM event? And I had estimated that it was about a quarter to a third of the hands that raised. As it turns out, that number was just over 40%. So even my
Wow.
own estimation fell short of that. And this was really exciting for me. I have to be honest, I'm going to geek out for a moment because we knew that this was something very different. We haven't done anything like this really since 2008. And this was really an opportunity for proof of concept. How can we reach people and serve them where they are? What kind of model works today in 2025? And to see those numbers bear out in that way, mission accomplished.
I think too. We've been pretty adamant in our language that these events were not meant to be regional conventions. They were meant to have a different feel. But I think it bears mentioning right now too, though, that 2008 and 2025, a lot has changed, not just for NPM, but in our society and the way we engage. I mean, just in the last 5 years, things have
Yes.
changed. But yeah, just a massive shift in how we gather since the last regional type event for NPM National.
Absolutely. I mean, who could have predicted in 2008 that you and I would receive our parish bulletin in our inbox every week?
The way we connect with one another and the way we've engaged continues to change, that's for sure.
And I think these events really proved that connection, that in-person connection, is still so important amid all of the great technology we have.
Oh, and I think we received quite a bit of feedback about that too, that it was nice to connect with members. And we received feedback on the surveys that many registrants liked connecting on a more intentional level, given that it was just a smaller, more intimate venue across the board.
Yes. So we heard that on surveys, and I definitely heard it in person as well. People even saying to me, I wasn't sure about this shorter, smaller format, but wow, I got to have real conversations with people that when we're at a large national convention, as amazing as it is, some of these conversations can't always take place.
I agree. So let's go back to those non-members really quickly. So you mentioned over 40% of people who came were non-members, but what does that mean? Like passed on the road, what does that mean for those people that registered as non-members?
So when we were setting out the registration prices for this event, we only had a $25 differential between a member and a non-member rate. And we wanted to make sure that for our non-members, we were giving them great value as well. So for those non-members who registered, they are going to receive a 6-month select level membership. So previously we called that the basic level membership. Now it's the select level membership. So for the next 6 months, they get to experience all things NPM. They'll receive our content. They'll hear about our plans for 2026. They'll be able to participate in online workshops as well. Of course, if they want to upgrade their membership to a level that has more benefits, they can certainly do that as well. But we wanted to make sure that at the concluding liturgy, that NPM experience didn't end. We wanted to share more of what we do and who we are.
That's great, especially given the fact that members will be able to attend our webinars in the fall. Okay, so broad strokes then, we talked about registration, we talked about non-members. Let's talk about the events themselves. You went to most of them yourself. So in your time of attending them, can you give an idea of what the event felt like to someone who attended?
I think for most participants, whether or not they were members, they probably knew somebody there. And seeing that moment when 2 NPM members greet each other or when 2 ministers greet each other, it's always that moment of joy. It's the visual that often comes to my mind is that moment Elizabeth greets Mary. That moment of the visitation and that sheer joy. And that's the moment that I always see playing out again and again. And I absolutely love that. That ability to make music together. I've shared this many times before that someone cautioned me, be ready for the emotional response the first time you hear NPMers sing in 4-part harmony, or in some cases 6 or 8-part harmony. And hearing that moment again at our first On the Road in Chicago, and it was actually during our multi-publisher reading session, and hearing that beautiful music instantaneously come out of the voices gathered, of course, in an amazing liturgical space as well at Our Lady of Mount Carmel. It can't be replicated, right? That experience, that catharsis, just can't be replicated any other way. Mm-hmm. So those were the types of feelings that were coming across. Of course, seeing people have that aha moment when they were experiencing a workshop. So, for example, Peter Kolar's keynote presentation in San Antonio, and you could see the pieces clicking, right? in the attendees' minds, like, wow, I never really thought about that before. I never really thought about how sound and music is represented in nature and the math behind it. And then how does that play out as we minister? Of course, San Antonio was a great city too, because we had our extra beats for kind of like a pre-con event, if you will, pre-convention events. And in San Antonio, there we had the opportunity for participants to go on a pilgrimage to the missions of San Antonio. And if you've never experienced that, it is a deeply prayerful experience, a joyous one too, I should add. So then pivoting towards Portland and Philadelphia, I have to say my favorite moment in Portland was finally being able to be in the same room with Father Virgil Funk.
Oh,
I've been in this role for NPM for 4.5 years, and we've emailed, we've talked on the phone, but we have never physically been in the same space. So to be able to spend some quality time with Virgil was just such a delight. Truly, truly enjoyed that. We had a great keynote there with Dr. Larry Sherman, really talking about the neuroscience behind music and how that how that affects our ministry. That it's not, as we know, right? It's not about the performance. How does that prayer start to kick in? What's happening in our brain with the serotonin and all that great stuff, right? So that was wonderful, and our team in Portland was just terrific, and we were really blessed to have Archbishop Sample as our presider for our closing mass. And last but not least, Philadelphia. Philadelphia is where we had our largest numbers. We had just under 200 participants there. And we were on a beautiful historic campus, Rosemont College, in Bryn Mawr, right on the main line. And that was fun. We had some great workshops there. Body mapping, handbells, reaching you, lots of different things. But across all of them, we use the words on the road because this is also the pilgrimage year of hope. And we wanted to lean into that idea of pilgrimage and journey. So that was a theme that was really woven throughout all of them. And in fact, in all of our locations, we used many of the resources, liturgical resources for the Pilgrimage Year of Hope. And we used the hymn at all of our convention or our on the road masses as well.
So that's nice that it tied it all together in that way too. Definitely journeying together, which of course is excellent. So you were on the ground for a lot of this. What were some of the feedback pieces that you received that really have stuck with you from those who attended?
Some of it I've shared already, that people were surprised at how much they enjoyed the smaller gatherings. People loved what they experienced, but of course, people wanted more. They loved it so much that they wanted more. They said, Jennifer, can we do this 2 days the next time? 2.5? How can we keep this going? So that was really rewarding to hear that people, after all the blood, sweat, and tears we put into it, both at national and for each of the local teams, to hear how well it was received. People liked the variety of topics that we're able to present within a city and then across the 5 cities as well. People really liked the locations too, geographically, but being in parish environments versus in a convention hall environment, and particularly being on the 2 university campuses. So University of the Incarnate Word in San Antonio, and then Rosemont College, as I mentioned, in Philadelphia. People liked having those spaces, liturgically designed spaces, which of course feed us.
So we've talked programming, we've talked the overall experience. Let's talk numbers, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So do you know what was the financial loss or gain for NPM National for all events together combined?
As each of the local teams could tell you, we ran a very, very tight budget on these events. And that was intentional because we knew that each of these cities had to be at minimum budget neutral. But I am actually really happy to report that all of the cities netted a profit, and collectively across the 5 cities, we will net in excess of $30,000. So
Wow.
yeah, that was
Wow.
great to see. And as many of our members know who have looked at our annual report, that number rivals the net proceeds of NPM national conventions since the pandemic.
Wow. And I don't know if people realize that, Jennifer. So just say that one more time,
Yeah.
just so people realize.
Yes. So collectively, the 2025 On the Road events netted more than $30,000.
Hmm.
That is on par with the net profits of any of the conventions since the pandemic.
Wow. Some people who are listening may be under the impression that our conventions still net a lot more for the association. Would you mind sharing just 1 minute about why that's not the case since the pandemic? Is it the pandemic? Is it something else?
Mhm. There are a couple of factors at play. The largest is economies of scale. So during the times when we were having 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, even 2,000 or more individuals attending a convention, those fixed costs never really changed. So, setting up your stage and your sound system in a plenum space is a fixed cost, but you were dividing those costs over 1,200 attendees. When you have a much smaller convention with anywhere from 700 paying attendees, in the in going back as far as 2021, maybe as few as 500 paying attendees, those costs are harder and harder to cover. At the same time, those costs have escalated as inflation has hit everything in our industry. So the hard costs of the materials, but then also the labor costs as well. So prices have shifted up and our economies of scale have worked against us.
So it may be too early to ask this, but do you see us as a national office and NPM National using a model like NPM on the road in the future, in the coming several years for something else?
It is definitely one that we need to explore because we met a need
Hmm.
for people who no longer or never had personal or professional budgets to fund getting to a national convention.
Hmm.
We were able to meet a ministerial need
Hmm.
with On the Road, and that's what the numbers bore out.
Hmm.
Also, for people who can't take multiple days off, who
Hmm.
can't travel distances, by going to where the people are, we served a need. So this is definitely a model we have to look at for future years. We're going to work with the feedback we received from participants in the surveys, as well as the feedback from the local teams, and think what that might look like. I'm willing to go on record and say I can almost guarantee it's not going to be 5 cities in the future. It will be less.
At least not
Um,
not five in like the span of like a couple weeks.
it was ambitious, yes. Um, the model works though. The
Hmm.
model worked
Yeah.
ministerially, the model worked programmatically and financially.
Hmm.
It's definitely something we need to look at continuing in the future.
Okay, but to be clear, for those who are listening, let's talk about next year. What is next summer going to look like?
Well, some people may remember as far back as our national convention in 2023. I stood at the podium during the members' meeting in Reno and said, we will be in Washington in summer 2026 to celebrate our 50th anniversary
That's right.
as an association.
Hmm.
So, yes, we will be in Washington, D.C. next summer, July 19th through 24th at the Catholic University of America.
Just to be clear, though, July 19th is a Sunday. And so what's going to happen is the convention actually starting on that Sunday, or is it pre-convention events? What does that look like?
So, as has been our pattern for the past several years, the convention will officially open on Monday night with the exhibit opening. By moving back one day and using both Sunday the 19th and Monday the 20th, we have a greater opportunity to provide some pre-convention events for individuals. We may even explore some post-convention events. knowing that people might be able to travel one weekend to Washington, but not necessarily the other. It's also the 250th anniversary of our country. So we know that there are going to be lots of events happening in DC that people may want to take part of, and this will allow them a little bit more wiggle room.
Great. Okay. What's the theme for next year?
Yes. Our theme is Forever We Will Sing.
Psalm 89. Well, forever I will
Psalm
sing.
89.
Yeah, forever I will sing.
Yes.
Why was that one chosen?
We thought about this long and hard over several board meetings, and it encapsulates really everything we have done since our inception and even leading up to our inception. You know, the idea of the singing assembly, not just the congregation, but the presider, the choir, the cantor, the accompanist, making up the assembly in total. And that's what we have to hold on to, is that singing assembly. We have to continue to raise our voices collectively. And that's why we're saying forever we will sing. We have to raise that sound collectively of praise.
So what can we expect next year?
Well, you'll see many familiar elements. You'll see plenums, you'll see an exhibit hall, workshops, concerts. But of course, since this is our 50th, you will also see some special celebrations as well to highlight and recognize the men and women who have built this association before us, some of those who have gone before us now, but continue to shape our work.
Great.
Lots of celebrations.
Lots of celebrate. It's gonna be one big party, really. No, I'm just I'm just kidding.
It should be. It should be.
Okay, so location. Where are we? Where is next year's convention?
Yes, Catholic University of America.
Okay.
Yes, so many people are familiar. Catholic University sits right next to the Basilica Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. So we will also be able to hopefully use some of the resources there at the shrine. There is the upper church, there is the crypt chapel, but of course there are always ongoing opportunities if somebody wants to go to confession at a time that we might not be able to offer it, during the life of the convention. Those types of things are readily available as well. It's also really exciting to be at Catholic University as we continue to partner with other Catholic organizations. To say we're going to be at the flagship Catholic University of the United States is important.
So we're going back to a campus.
Yes.
So we had University of the Incarnate Word for our San Antonio event this summer. Then we had Rosemont. So is it safe to say that those who attended those two in particular may kind of have a general vibe of what having an NPM event on a campus will feel like?
Yes, I think that's a fair statement. We will be at in the conference center on Catholic University's campus for the majority of our events, but we'll also be in classrooms. We'll be in spaces that are designed, some of the performance spaces as well. And of course, God willing, we'll also be at the shrine for some of our liturgies. So we have an opportunity to keep the structure of what an NPM convention looks like, but to give it a different flair by being on a collegiate campus.
What are accommodations going to look like then? Because we aren't at a hotel like sometimes we are for our conferences. So what's that going to look like?
So we will have on-campus accommodations available. We will also have hotel accommodations available as well. We know we have many different types of travelers, so it's important to offer many different types of options. So something probably a little simpler on campus and little more refined if you want to go to a hotel.
Okay, great.
The great news is we will plan to have the hotels be on the Red Line. The Catholic University sits on the Red Line of Metro, so it'll be an easy transport to get from point A to point B.
Okay, so if people, this, I know this is early in saying this, but if people are thinking about accommodations, and I know we'll talk about getting more information, it's not so much that the hotel will be right outside Catholic U, but it will be very easily accessible right on that metro line. Is that correct?
Yes, Catholic
Okay,
University has its own metro stop,
awesome. Oh, that's great. Okay,
which is, if I had to estimate, about a 5-minute walk
okay,
uh, from the stop up to the conference center.
okay, great. Okay, so we've talked broad strokes for next year for planning purposes, but let's talk about maybe some more specific things. When can we learn more about next year's conference?
Yes. As always, the official preview of the convention will be in the January issue of Pastoral Music magazine. But you will be hearing from us in the coming months. You'll be hearing who some of our awardees are, who our plenum speakers are. I encourage everyone to stay tuned to their inbox for the call for workshops. That will be coming out very soon as well. And we want to hear from you. It's our 50th anniversary. As I said, it's a time to celebrate.
Well, that's great. I want to thank you for your time today, Jennifer. I also just want to take our last minute together and thank the local teams from On the Road one more time, because the amount of work that our local NPM teams did in each respective city, including Atlanta, did
Yes.
so much for preparation and planning that started this time last year. And I don't know if people realize that. But yeah, just major shout out and props to them.
Yes, yes. I was having conversations in really January of 2024,
Hmm.
asking each of these local teams, hey, would you be willing to consider a model like this? Would you
Hmm.
do you think it could fly in your city? And as I said to someone in the past day or so, local teams, I understand the amount of financial resources, physical resources, and spiritual resources that you put into making these events happen. And I am so deeply grateful.
I am too. Well, Jennifer, thank you for your time today. Thank you for all the work that you do for NPM as an association. I'm sure this won't be the last time I'm able to chat with you on the podcast soon. But thank you again for all of your work on the Road and just NPM as a whole.
Thank you.